Question Everything was born out of a desire for curiosity, a love for people's stories, and a deep belief that through open and honest conversations, freedom can be found. Freedom from shame, from judgment, and from fear. So let's talk about the stuff we've been hiding from. Let's say the things we were told not to say. And let's ask the questions we've been wanting to ask, but have been too scared to. Because when we question everything, everything changes. Let's go. Welcome to episode 7 of Question Everything, my recap on my amazing conversation with Suzy Domenick. And what a powerhouse she is. She is a coach, she's a Reiki energy healer, she is a writer, a blogger, a friend, a sister, just an amazing human being. And it was so great to spend time with her because breaking the stigma of mental health and the thought of ending your life and breaking this stigma of it looks a certain way is so important, because as she talked about, she was not showing up as somebody who was probably, I don't know if she says this, but was feeling clinically depressed, right? She was somebody who was showing up to work, kicking butt, friendly, outgoing, like nobody had any idea, right? And so destigmatizing what we think mental health looks like. Mental health can look all sorts of ways. But what I think was so great is honing in on what that looked like for her and how that may resonate for some of you out there watching this. And she talked about the masks she wore, which I thought was such a great conversation and such just an interesting way to look at things, and how one, nobody ever knew, right? She was just like going through life, but also how she masked her pain with certain outlets, right? She talked about drinking too much. She talked about eating too much. She talked about shopping. She talked about working, all these things to not deal with the pain. And yes, we know that when we do things that aren't serving us, right? Our greater self, our best self, right? We know when like the drinking is too much or the eating or drugs or whatever that looks like. But there's other things that can be real sneaky to think, oh, wow, is that what I'm doing? Or is that masking some pain, right? Which she was really very open about, that masked pain, like a shopping. She shared she made a ton of money. She could shop. It wasn't like, I didn't get a sense that was the problem, but the shopping was filling a void, right? The working hard, we're really society honors us for working hard, right? So like on paper you're like, okay, that's not bad, she's like ambitious, and it's like, but she was masking that. And it's really sneaky sometimes how these things that we mask, our pain or our sadness or something we don't want to deal with something that we think is like a good thing or not so bad, right? One thing that I found for me is when I'm starting to feel like I need to stand up for myself, or if I'm feeling like scared about something, or if I'm feeling a little bit of anxiety, I get like hyper independence, and that's a protection method, right? And yes, on paper, and not even on paper, there's nothing wrong with a strong, independent woman. But why? Like, what's the why behind that? Is that because I don't want to rely on anybody? I want to do it myself, or is it because I have pride in doing things? And so often the masks sometimes they can be really sneaky. And so I think, my question for you to question yourself is like looking, if you are feeling, as she said, like one tear away from, or excuse me, I think it was like one thought or one word away from like just crying. What is that? And are you doing something to not deal with it? Right? Because it can be really painful to deal with. So just trying to just evaluate, look at your life, take a little, an audit audit your world and say, what is that? Like, is that something? Because we can all do it, right? Even these phones, right? Like that is just the scrolling, like where are you masking by other actions, something that maybe you need to kind of work through. And that really leads me to this next piece where she talked about try all the things. And she talked about how she had gone to multiple therapists, and it was like, the third one, I think, that actually like sealed the deal, right? That was able to get her traction. And she was also able to share, right? It was kind of the perfect world. But we talked about, massages, Reiki, energy, there's breath work. There are so many things to do. And so really staying open to what that looks like. I'm currently working with some programs where it's a lot of focus on your breathing and mindset, which most are mindset, but like a different, challenging your thoughts, not believing your thoughts, making sure you take time in your day, finding ease. Like that's my focus. But I've done coaching and I still do coaching, and I've done therapy, and I've done energy healing, I've done acupressure, like all sorts of different things. And so always being open to what is it you need. And I love that she finally found that therapist, because sometimes it can take a while. It's like dating, right? Or coaching, right? You find that person, you're like, that's not my person. So just how open she was, and how she continues now to go back to those tools and see what works, right? To see what uncovers. And so really, really, really being open to what that is for you. And I'm really, really, really hesitant on ever just one piece of advice, right? Because every single one of us is different. And not are we just different, we're always evolving. So what works for me now may be different than works for me in 5 years, when I'm like trying to work on development or work through grief or sadness or whatever that looks like. So really just staying open. And it's almost like you're going to a cafeteria. I grew up Furs cafeteria, let me a Furs, picking up what you need, putting it on your plate, taking it out, right? Next time, is it? Yeah, no, switch it up, right? I miss Furs so much. Um, but really staying open and giving yourself the permission to make a different decision. Give yourself permission to say, this is what I think I need. And if you don't think you know what it is you need, just, go ask somebody you trust for support, because it's so, so important. And, we talked too about how, a scab, she talked about her scab, which I love that analogy, right? Like you do healing in your scab, but sometimes you can like pick it, right? You're like, oh man, I was almost feeling I picked it, right? And when we're dealing with life, when life just gets really lifey, that happens. And so we think we've healed through something, and then we find out we have not maybe healed. We're healing, we are not healed. I love that Tracy, coach that I work with in her program, she always talks about that. Like we're never healed, we're always healing, right? Because stuff comes up. And so, she talked about how now she's just more equipped to deal with those scars, right? Like that scar tissue, or excuse me, that scab, right? She's more equipped to say, okay, this is how I'm gonna like work through this now and like heal it again. And in the same time, give yourself such grace. I, I think that, I went through therapy a while ago with my dad. And then probably the last time, well, not the last time, I went through therapy, and then I went in 2019, and the therapist, like, I goes to a point, I was like, she's like, I think you've kind of gotten there. I was like, yeah, I kind of do too. Like, I don't know. And then, stuff kind of came back up for me, beginning of this year. Yeah, beginning of this year into last year. Started to kind of see a therapist, didn't really click. Then, was getting some coaching around it. But I found myself being like, I thought I dealt with this. Like I thought this was done. I thought I had found my resolution. I'd got to my higher self. We'd evolved all this, and then stuff happens and it brings up new stuff, right? And so it's so important to cut yourself some slack, to say, hey, like, yes, I did heal in that piece, and this is this phase, and it's so important. Um, and I'm still gonna be, growing through that. Like I'm still, it will come up again, and I will have those tools like Suzy mentioned, and I will work through it, but also showing myself grace. And that we're never healed. We're always healing, just like we're never grown. We're always growing, right? We're always learning, we're evolving, because how freaking boring would it be if that wasn't the case? And so just really, I was just so impressed with her, and she, talking about what I think a lot of women and men out there put on a front, and inside they're crushed and they don't know what to do. But just asking for help in some way, making some traction, trying things out, and just moving past, because you're not broken. Nobody's broken, and you deserve the opportunity to take that chance to see what it is that can serve you. And then I just want to leave you with something that I'm currently question everything. And this came up, my amazing friend Taryn came into town the past couple weekends. She's bringing her kid to camp and picking him up. And we started talking, and what came up for me is working hard and earning what I get in my life, right? This thought of I have to work hard to earn to earn, not earn everything I have in my life, right? And so this sense of pressure that I can kind of put on myself. And so I'm really questioning what is work, hard work, and what is earning, right? And what does that look like for me? Um, because I was raised to work hard, and I love the feeling of being accomplished. Like my to-do list has a to-do list, right? But it can really be at a detriment when that becomes a little bit more of your focus. And so I'm really trying to question, what does this next chapter look like for me to like work and earn? And even as I'm talking through this, I'm still like not sure what the verbiage is, because I am somebody that values intention and values nurturing. But I'm really starting to question, do I have to work incredibly hard to have all I want in this life? Or can I show up as my best self and do what I want to do and have a place of ease and joy and fun? And I'm currently in a program about ease and creating more ease in our life, but really starting to question, what does it look like? More ease, less work. And I'm really questioning, can I do that and still make massive impact in the world and just make this world a better place? So that's what I'm questioning. So thank you for tuning in. Next week, I am bringing you my friend JoJo, and you are going to love her. And I cannot wait to share that episode with you. And so thank you for tuning in and have a great day.